I have a spiritual director. Some of you may know that, some of you probably don't. But I have a spiritual director and I see her once a month. And I sit down and I talk about things that are going on in church, and I talk about things that are going on in my own spiritual life and all of that kind of stuff. And she always asks me this one question that tends to bother me. Sometimes it's easy to answer, but often it's not easy to answer. And the question, she says, is where is God in all of that? Where is God in all of that? And it really is hard to answer sometimes. You know, when something's going good, I can say, well, you know, God's Spirit is there in the joy that is around, and God's there in the fellowship, and, you know, I can say all of those nice things. But when I'm going through a difficult time, when I'm struggling, when things are hard, and believe me, I have those times just like everybody else, where is God in that? Sometimes I struggle to give her an answer. And I go away and have to think about it for a while. And so I want to ask you the same question tonight. See, if we're following this theme of Advent, going to a party, tonight is the night when we invite our guests. We get that list, we work out, who am I going to invite? And we all know that, you know, there are people we really, really want to invite. There are people who, well, we don't care if they come or not, but we'll send them an invite just in case. Then there are the people we don't want to invite, but we sort of have to invite. You know, sometimes those can be relatives or next door neighbours or work colleagues or whatever. And then, of course, there are the people that we don't like, and so we don't invite them. Where is God on that list for you? Especially this Advent and Christmas season. Where is God on that list? Do you want to invite God to your Christmas? Do you want to invite God into the times when you open the presents? You say hi to people you haven't seen for a while, eating that big meal and getting stuffed, drinking that eggnog or whatever it is we drink at Christmas time. You know, is God going to be a part of that or not? And you know, I have to be honest, when I think about Christmases, I know that my family Christmases when I was growing up, I probably wouldn't want God to be there with everything that goes on. So where is God for you? And where is God for you this Christmas season? If we get back to the fellow running around in the village, the madman running around the village, he was looking the wrong way. What do you say when people say to you, how do you know God is real? You don't need to answer it. But what do you say to people when they ask you, how do you know God is real? Do you know what I say? This is how I know God is real. And I'm going to tell you a story that I told you the first time I preached here, which was after I'd broken up with my wife, and I was like this man in the story. I didn't believe that God existed. I was convinced that God didn't exist because of the reason that God didn't cure me from being gay. And if God could do anything, God could cure me. But God didn't. And so God didn't exist. And then one night, you'll remember I was talking about walking along in my thongs. But one night I was walking along the beach in my flip-flops or my sandals. And I started praying accidentally. I accidentally started praying, honest to God. I just found myself praying because I was in this beautiful spot. I was on a beach in Newcastle for YouTube. I was on the beach and the sun was setting and I could hear the waves and I could smell the salt and I took off my flip-flops and I could feel the sand and I just felt this joy. I felt this closeness to God. And so I started praying, just thanking God how wonderful everything was. And that That was when I knew that God was real. That's also when I knew that God loved me for who I was, which included the gay Jonathan. See, that fellow in the story, he was looking the wrong way. He was almost trying to prove God wrong. He was trying to be clever. But all he had to do, instead of running around trees and rocks and everything else, all he had to do was open his heart. Open his heart to God. Sometimes that's where we find God. Have you felt God? Have you felt God? As we get ready for Christmas, as we get ready for Advent, as we run around crazily buying Christmas presents and Christmas trees, going to Christmas parties and making those lists, maybe take a moment to feel God. Take a moment and ask, where is God in all of this? And then, once you've taken that time to find God, maybe you want to think about inviting God to that party you're having and make God the honoured guest this Christmas. God bless you all. Amen.